When it comes to real estate production, people are generally on one of two sides of the fence. That is, they're really good at producing, at doing production real estate, at making sales happen, and they love it. It's almost like a drug for them. Or they've been doing it for so long that they're burnt out and they feel like a slave to their production requirements and they want to get out. In this video, I'm going to show you a systematic, proven plan that you can implement to get out of production profitably and the right way. And well, a funny story behind this is I was on the one side of the fence where I was producing at a high level and I loved it. And I thought, why would I want to stop doing this? But it was a wise coach and mentor who came into my life who helped me see that this very thing that I thought I loved was the thing that was holding me back from my next level of success. So I want to encourage you to watch this video. And if you're feeling burnt out, I've got light at the end of the tunnel for you. But if you're like those people like I used to be, where you're producing at a high level, you love it, it makes you feel good, it validates your self-worth, I want to encourage you to look at this systematic plan because the best time to implement it is when you're still excited about production. It's a little bit harder to do when you're already burnt out and you just feel like you've got nothing left to give. So take a look at the training and I'll circle back with you in a minute. All right, let's talk about one of my favorite topics, which is exiting production. And the reason that this is in the profitability component is because if you don't have the right profitability, this is never gonna become a reality for you. And for me, I came down to a 5-step plan. And I did this plan over a period of time, which I'm gonna break down with you, but it's what allowed me to exit production while still maintaining profitability along the way. And it really broke down into these 5 steps right here. It was produce myself. We produced right into a team, meaning I did so much production that because of that production, the next step logically was to start a team because I couldn't handle it all. And then I gave up the buyers. Then I increased my listing volume because I was focused only working with listings and working on the business. And then I trained a listing partner, and then I was able to manage and scale my business. So I'm gonna show you this infographic that I created that really breaks this down so you can better understand how all this occurred. Because in the beginning, it was just me, and I was doing everything like maybe you are, or maybe you've started to get out of production only to come back into it. So I wanna show you this because there's some important elements of this infographic that I wanna point out. So in the beginning, when it was just me, I divided my time like this. 60% working with buyers, 20% working with sellers, and 20% working on the business. And what happened is I got really busy and I continued to focus on production and increasing that production to a point where I could generate enough opportunities, not only for myself, but for a team. And the first thing that I did when I started my team is I committed to giving up 100% of the buyers. And by giving up 100% of the buyers, I was then able to divide my time 60% among working with listings and 40% on the business. So essentially, I was able to triple the time investment I was spending on getting listings, and I was able to double the time working on my business. And that's exactly what happened. I literally tripled my listing volume in that period of time so that I could carry more listings, which in turn produced more opportunities for my buyers and focus working on the business so we could continue to grow it and scale it. Then what I did next is interesting because I see a lot of people take a misstep here. They try to go from step 2 to step 4, and that's not really the way it works. The way I did it was I kept giving 100% of my buyers to the buyer team. I kept working on more listings, but I was able to leverage my time and get more listings. And the way I divided my time here is I started spending 40% of my time working on the listings and 60% of my time working on the business. So you can see that I flipped these two from here to here. Now, how is it that I was able to get more listings and work less on the listings? And the way that I accomplished that was I brought on a listing partner. Because what I found was as I got busier and busier on the listing side, there were certain things that needed to happen consistently that were very important to me getting these listings sold and closed, but weren't really things that I felt like I needed to be doing. Just like preparing reports for weekly follow-ups and just weekly regular communication with them. So my listing partner was able to help me do a lot of that heavy lifting. And it was able to leverage my time more so that I could go on more appointments. So even though I spent less time working on listings, I was able to handle more of them because of the listing partner. And that allowed me to work more on the business, that 60% down there. And that's what took me to the final step, which is I brought the listing partner in and trained him to do all the listings. So I was able to give up all the buyers, I was able to give up all the listings, and I was able to spend 100% of my time managing and scaling the business. So over the period of time that this took, which was a couple years, I was able to constantly work more on the business, which allowed the business to grow and scale, so that as I was giving up percentages of commission, as I was giving all the buyers away to the buyer team and then giving a portion of it away to the listing partner, and then ultimately giving away all the buyers and all the sellers while still retaining that portion and growing the business for the company, I never felt a dip in profitability. As we scaled, although our profit margin got smaller as a percentage, our volume grew so that we were continuing to increase our production and our earnings as a company. And this is the step that I see a lot of people miss, is they're committed to getting out of production and they want to get out of production, but they don't do so in a process like this where they continue to maintain focus on what's most important. And what's most important, people? Most important is that you replace or gain leverage so that you can work more on the business to bring in more business. And it all starts from the very beginning. It all starts with you. In the beginning, you have to produce. But as you grow and you bring on people to help you produce, you're responsible to make sure that you're getting the most out of that team and the most out of every lead that comes in, so you continue to grow the business along the way. And this is the path that I took, and it's been very successful for me. And this is the same path that I'm helping my current leadership at my real estate company take, because not only have I gotten out of production, but my leadership team who is in production is now getting out of production as well. So it's not only worked for me, but it's worked for me 2 times over in my management, because you can continue to grow and scale the business and continue to bring leaders up and out of production if you're able to continue to grow the overall production of the company. So let's talk about what we need to have happen here. If you're still in production, what step are you currently in? Identify with where you are, and how are you going to get to the next step of exiting the production cycle in the next 90 days? I really want you to focus on that in the next 90 days and really decide, what is it that has to happen? What's most important for me to make happen in order to make me jump to the next stage? And then identify what that is. And it should only be 2, 3, maybe 4 at the most things that you should focus on, because you got to focus on getting that production up and doing more of those things to grow the business. And then if you're already out of production, what's the number one thing you need to focus on for the health of your business over the next 90 days? And what would success like if that was done correctly? So what I mean here is, say you're out of production right now. What area of your business can you have the most impact on? And I'll give you a hint. More often than not, it's recruiting. If you're already out of production and you're working on that business and you have systems in place for the buyer team and the listing team and you're generating leads, the number one thing most people can do if they're out of production is focus on recruiting and bringing more agents in so you can scale the business. I hope you'll take the time to complete this exercise and really put some focus towards either getting out of production or making sure that you can scale your business to help the next wave of leaders that you're leading and guiding get out of production too.
All right, I know this is a very sensitive topic for people, but I also really believe that you as the team leader, as the broker owner getting out of production is ultimately what's best for you and best for your team. Because you'll no longer be in a situation where you're doing deals that could go to your team, to the cultivation and development of your new team members, but you'll be out of that and you'll be able to oversee it all and continue to grow and scale the business. So if you're feeling challenged by this, you're feeling like, I think I need to do this, but I don't know if I can or I want to, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Feel free to book a strategy call. Let me help you get over these mental hurdles that I know stood in my way a long time ago, just like my wise mentor helped me do.